Hi guys, I'm very happy to see you here. Oh, we all have white screen, white backside. Wow, great, we all have white backside. So you know that white is the color of honesty, or so I guess that today we are talking about defending human rights, and today is the day of our class, of our colloquium, and we will try to discuss the main ideas of human rights defending. And I want to thank my dear girls that have already sent me their articles, very interesting, and I'm very happy that they are so useful, because these articles made me proved that the idea of case study is the best one, because I'm absolutely convinced now that the more we learn our practical issues, the more we learn our for example, real cases, the better we know how to defend our rights. So that's why it is very important. And you know, today, just to make you probably more interested in, today we are getting prepared with my master degree students to the defending of their thesis on the problem of international law. And one of my students has the topic defending human rights at the European Court of Human Rights. And probably, unfortunately, he doesn't speak English at all, unfortunately. But you know that all the decisions of the European Court are also translated to all the languages. So it is very easy to have a look at them. And of course, we discussed our situation in Russia. You know that different countries have different views on implementing decisions of the European Court of Human Rights, and everything depends whether you are the part of the European Convention or not. And of course, we follow the Wien Convention on Human Rights, and that's why we are talking about very interesting things today. So, my friends, probably in what way we will communicate today. So I would like to have a great discussion, and I would like us to listen to each other and to discuss the main topics, because of course, probably we will correct something in our articles, and after that we will publish them for sure. And probably our discussion will give us a new way of our ideas, probably of developing of our ideas, and probably it will be very helpful and useful. Before we start, does anyone has any questions?
I have a question. When we need to send the article, it was for tomorrow, no, from yesterday.
Sorry, one moment, please. Once more, please repeat.
Okay. When we need to send the article, it was for yesterday. No, not yet, ¿verdad? Not yet.
We decided to have a look at them on the weekend, but it's okay.
This weekend?
Yes.
Yes.
No worries.
I will write it today. It's okay.
Okay, if you have time, of course. But still, we have weekend, one more weekend for sure, and you do not have classes. And if you want to improve something according to this colloquium, probably you would like to change something, probably you would like to add something or to delete something. I just wanted to know whether you understood my idea or not. But your articles that girls sent me showed that everything is okay. And I was very happy about that, because of course you are not the first students that we organize our school with, but still sometimes not all the students understand well what I want to get from them. But there was no problem, so that's why I'm very happy about it. And I also wanted to see the real cases, and I found them in the article. So that was my goal, and I wanted to look through not only through scientific research, but also through practical issues, and probably to find. So our idea is to find the best combination between practice and research, because of course here we are the university, the leading university, or one of the leading one of the most leading universities in Russia, but I'm loving research, but practice makes perfect. That's why for example, I guess all of you work or study, all of you work, right? Yeah. All of you work, perfect. And who is continuing your PhD research or not? Who is a PhD student? Are there any PhD students here, or master degree students who is obtaining the PhD? Yasmin, right? You?
I'm a master degree student, yes.
So you are already a master degree student, or you have already got your master degree?
No, I still haven't my master degree.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, and the others, Piria?
I want to, sorry, Priya.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm still my bachelor's.
Oh, really nice. Good. By the way, if you want, you can obtain a master degree here. You are very welcome. And Yasmin may obtain PhD degree here, because it is easy now, especially with the help of, thanks God, online education. But you know, for me, it's a bit specific, because even my students tomorrow, they have to defend their thesis, and they are calling me every hour. We are afraid what will happen if our connection breaks, so what we are going to do. But and I say everything will be okay. It's our own mantra. No worries. Be happy and so on. So it's very easy for you. For example, probably you would like to study. Probably you would like to obtain a degree here. So Leonardo, sorry, I interrupted you. Okay.
I want to study a master this year, where I want to do it in Russia, actually.
Oh, perfect. You are welcome. We are waiting for you.
I want to do a master in international relations and security. Some of them. I'm so interested in that topics.
And you are bachelor of what?
I had a degree in international relations.
Perfect. You know, probably just for discussion, or probably that would be a small advice, you know, where I'm giving it, because I know that there are two specialities or two directions. We have international relations, and you had, I know that on Monday, as far as I remember, you had a great discussion on international relations. And, you know, when students are choosing their program, we try to explain, and we try to explain that there is the program International Relations, and there is the program International Law, and they are absolutely different. Why so? I guess that you understand that we are talking mostly, for example, with me, and tomorrow we will talk with our professor who is very good in IT law, and in fact, he is our vice dean of the faculty of law in IT technologies, and he knows everything, I guess, about it. And we are mostly focused on legislation, and international relations without legislation are nothing. In fact, that's only communication, blah, blah, blah. But for example, when we try to invite students to our program, we always try to make them know that international relations are everywhere on the international level, but a good politician, a good lawyer, a good communicator only is one who knows the laws and who knows how to implement them, how to work with them. That's why I wanted you to make your articles in comparison with research work, some with some cases real, and so on. Probably you will get more interested in exactly international law than in international relations, because if you if you have already obtained your basis in international relations, you have to share your knowledge, you have to widen your knowledge, and that's impossible in most cases to do from my point of view. Maybe I'm wrong. That's not the absolute truth for sure, but still, when you are studying international law, I guess that's more useful for you. For example, when you study conventions, when you study some protocols, ethics even, you know, when you try to go into the international law branches, we took just several just to have a view of international criminal law, space law, IT law, environmental law, and some others for sure. But you know, that's not enough. We have, if you remember, just for example, we have sea law, air law, right? And when we talked about space law, I compared space law with air law and with sea law. And you know that there are many problems with this, many aspects with the sea law. Why so? Because of the problem with the Caspian Sea. You know that not long ago we have adopted the Convention on the Caspian Sea. That's very interesting. The law of Antarctic, right?
Yeah,
So probably that's for your interest, probably, because I guess you know much in international relations. That's mostly in international relations. Most of the material is based on the history. But of course, I think that you got this history, like everyone studies history on while getting your bachelor's degree, as far as I remember. Because
yes, something like that. In my university, actually, they teach us a lot of economic law, international law,
oh,
and
okay.
a lot of USA history, diplomacy. We had like 4 semesters with lessons of USA. It's like
Oh.
now we hate USA. You know, it's like we don't have the obligation to see all the time USA, but we are in Mexico, so we share a lot of
Yes,
info now
because you are
with
close to your
USA.
partners, but
Yeah,
it's
that's the reason that I decided to take other courses outside. For example,
uh-huh,
in international law, this is my third diploma in international law.
uh-huh.
I had like 7 diplomas in international
Oh,
business.
uh-huh,
Also, I went to the United Nations to a diploma in Austria last
uh-huh.
year in
Oh,
security.
nice. Uh-huh.
That's the reason that I want more experience. And yes, I'm thinking about my master, no? Maybe my topics are international law too, economic, and security. I'm in love with international security. It's like my passion, no?
Yeah, it's very interesting, really. And international security. One of my students is writing his master's degree thesis about international regulation of cybersecurity. A very interesting topic. Yes, and I have just finished reading his topic. His thesis, it was really interesting, very big thesis. That's a master degree dissertation, and I had to write feedback for sure. Anyways, I guess that when you are talking about also security, right, cyber security, this is one of the most most topical, I guess, theme. And for example, as for me, I'm getting my post doctoral degree, and it is about international economics law, and it is connected. It is connected with the digital economy, also cybersecurity, and different aspects. We are also talking about soft law, about international regulation of, for example, Internet of Things, of blockchain, of big data, of artificial intelligence. This is one of my big blocks in this word. So, and I guess that everyone also faces these topics, and probably because of the lack of legislation in this sphere, especially international legislation, it is it can be provided only through international laws, international acts, international protocols. And I told you about the international cyber code, European cyber code. It was adopted not long ago. Probably it is one of the most interesting things today. So just keep in mind, and probably just look inside, find the heart of your question, and probably it will help you to achieve your goals. Because from my probably I'm just so fond of international law, but from my point of view, I have listened to some classes, not only here but also at our other partner universities. But for me, international relations is more politician. Everything is based on politics. Of course, it's okay, no problems, but probably too much. Probably we have to base our ideas mostly on laws. But that's probably because I'm the lawyer just from the very beginning. And girls, what are your first education? Will you share this information with us? Isn't it of top secret? Kyria? Sorry, so huh? What is your profession?
Continue. I want to ask, I missed about the international courts. There are two international courts. The International Court of Justice, and I missed one court. Which is it?
Cyber. Cyber code. Cyber.
You did not understand me.
Probably.
I asked that there are two international courts,
Uh-huh.
International Court of Justice, and I missed one court last time.
Okay, I will have a look. One moment, one moment. Okay. Mhm. One moment. So, what is your education, please, Sabuhi? Will you tell us?
I am a teacher of English.
Wow, perfect,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you. And you got your, are you a bachelor or master or specialist?
Bachelor.
Uh-huh, thank you. Okay. And the girls, what is your education?
I'm studying Bachelor of Law.
Oh, lawyer, how nice, my colleague. Thank you. And Yasmin?
I study law as well,
Oh,
and
no.
I work as a politician in our town here.
Oh, perfect. So we are all colleagues. And in fact, of course, we can do nothing without our language. So we have, I think that Sabuhi is our colleague as well. So one moment, please. I'll try to find in my election where it is international code. Of International Code of Justice. So I talked about it on international criminal law, right? Sabuhi, right? Oh, sorry. I don't. I don't hear you.
I opened microphone. Yes. The International Court of Justice, and I missed the one court.
Wow.
There are two international courts.
Yeah. International Criminal Tribunal.
International?
International. Okay. International Criminal Tribunal. And, we have International Criminal Tribunal and we have International Criminal Court.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I got it, and that was my question about the difference, because we have to keep in mind the difference between the International Criminal Tribunal, ICT, and when we talk about ICT, the most I guess famous International Criminal Tribunal is, as I told you, Nuremberg Tribunal. Do you remember? It is the biggest, I guess, International Criminal Tribunal. If I can call it, sorry for that performance, because many people made from it like a performance, because it lasted for many months, in fact, and it was very interesting. And to read the archives, it is very interesting from the Nuremberg Tribunal. And but the tribunals are provided for some cases, and they are made for these cases. And when we are talking about the International Criminal Court, it works always, right? Sabuhi, you have a question? Yes, please.
Last time I wrote down that the Nuremberg Tribunal composed of 4 judges. Composed of 4 judges from the USA, UK, USSR, and France.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. You're absolutely right. Okay. And when we're talking about International Criminal Court, I should tell you that, of course, it has also a specific procedure. If you are interested, you can just have a look at the most interesting processes, like with Rwanda, like with Slobodan Milosevic and Karadzic, some interesting cases. But that's all about international criminal law. But today we're going to talk not only about international criminal situation. Of course, it is very it is very topical today. But we had a look through our constitution. You know that our constitution changed this year in July, and every constitution has its specific, and in every constitution of every country it's written that about the decisions of the other courts, and of course about the implementing of the decisions of the European Court of Human Rights. And if you are ready, I would like to give the floor to some of you who would like to start. Probably, Yasmin, are you ready to tell us about your work, if you don't mind?
Okay.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So I wrote about the case Lagerund. It's Germany contained the United States. The case is about two German brothers who lived in the USA since their third birthday. And with the age of 19, they committed a bank robbery. And so they were imprisoned the same day. And the problem was that German was informed about the trial of the brothers 10 years after they got imprisoned. And so there were three questions of these cases. The first one was if there was a problem that the USA hasn't informed Germany, and neither the brothers of their rights. And Germany brought the case before the ICJ with a request for a temporary injunction to stay the execution proceeding in relation to his brother, to the second brother who was not dead at this time. So the ICJ said that the USA has heard Article 36 of the Vienna Convention because USA hasn't informed Germany, and also they heard Article 36 of the Vienna Convention because the USA has not informed the brothers about their rights. The bigger problem in this case was the question if the ICJ could tell the USA to stop the execution of one brother, because it was not clear if the ICJ has the right to tell the USA to stop the execution, because there was no right in, for example, the UN Charter that the ICJ had this right. So in this case, the ICJ decided the first time that Article 41 in ICJ statute about the provisional measures, that they has to be accepted by the states as well. Not only the decisions from the ICJ, also the issue provisional measures. So that's the summary of the case.
Okay, thank you. We have we heard the case, and just to turn on your microphones, and probably we can discuss this idea. So, what are your ideas about ways of defending these rights? So we see two brothers, and we see that their rights were their rights were broken. What are the ways of defending their rights? What can you advise? And do you agree or do you disagree with the decision?
Is it a question for me?
Oh, for everyone. Oh, of course, you can answer because you have the priority. You have found this case for sure.
Yeah, well, I think it's clear that the USA should have informed them about their rights, and also the USA should have informed Germany about the two brothers, the case. I think this is it's not a question because it's just the right they have.
Absolute right.
I think just the other decision about the precautionary measures about Article 41 in the ICJ statute, it's, you could say it's right or it's false because it's just not clear in the right.
Okay, thank you. And probably any other views? I want to support Yasmin. I absolutely agree. Of course, the right for information is one of the main rights, right? So, and the right, it doesn't matter. Everyone should be informed about his rights if something happens, of course. And I forgot to ask you, they are the citizens of which country? Germany? Yes, Yasmin, these brothers were the citizens of which country?
Of Germany.
Yeah, so of course, the motherland should know what happens with the citizens, right? Of course, the country should be informed. First of all, that's written in the Vienna Convention. So I guess that it's clear that the USA broken the rules. Okay, any ideas, supporting arguments? Thank you, Yasmin. Probably others can add with some supporting arguments. You know that, first of all, when we are talking about defending human rights in the international level, we have to look through one document. First of all, it is the Charter, right? And of the United Nations, we need to find the concrete articles, and of course we have to look through the Vienna Convention and to find the proper supporting argument. And of course we need to prove our position with the evidences. Because if we are talking like the lawyers, we should support everything by the legal argument and the fact argument. Two types of supporting, legally and factually. Okay. Probably anyone has another point of view or some more supporting ideas or unsupporting. No. Oh yes, I don't see anything. Okay, so thank you very much, dear Yasmin, and thank you very much for remembering about the time limits. As I told you, yes, you were in time perfectly, because I do not want to provide long stories, because when you are listening to some long stories, you lose something that was at the very beginning. That's for me. Okay, who will be the next? Who is brave? Oh, thank you, Sabuhi. You are welcome.
All human rights are important. All rights are important.
Yes, absolutely.
As you mentioned last time, Human Rights Council also works to support all human beings' rights. So,
Mhm.
thanks a lot.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I absolutely agree with you, Sabuhi, because of course all the rights are very important. Yes, they are absolutely equal for sure, and it doesn't matter which right we are defending. In fact, right? Of course, we have some social right, we have political rights, we have. Mm, Natural rights, right? We all remember our first course, and these types of rights are well discussed when we are learning the theory of law. And in fact, of course, so we have the right of life, the right of information, and we have the right of defending ourselves for sure. And all these rights are connected with each other, and all these rights are defended in a proper way, and the ways of defending human rights we choose. And do you know that in every country the rights can be defended by the special mechanisms, and these mechanisms are written in the codes. But when we are talking about the international level of defending, everything is the same, because defending human rights in the other on the international level is absolutely the same for every country. That also shows that we are all absolutely equal. Okay, thank you, Sabuki, for this idea. And
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, probably someone else would like to tell us, probably Kyria. Uh-huh.
Yes, but I did not actually write about the human rights case. I did write about guilty plea and plea bargaining in international criminal law. I think most of you have surely seen any crime movies in which the arrested person are asked if they want to plead guilty in order to get reduced sentence. So I've always wondered how that exactly works. So in my article, I wrote about the guilty plea. How does it work and what's the definition of it? And then in the second part, I wrote about the common and civil law approaches to plea bargaining. Because the guilty pleas and plea bargaining have their roots in the common law systems, and the concept of guilty plea was unknown for decades in civil law system, because civil law prefers only confessions. And I think for most of the people, they don't know what's the difference between guilty plea and confession. It sounds similar. And in my article, I wanted to write about the difference and how the both systems works, and also how the plea bargaining at the ICTY and at the ICTR is working. And I think an important case is also Erdomovic. I'm not sure if anyone knows it. It's about a soldier. He pleaded guilty to a murder, adding that he would have been killed if he had not refused to take part in the killings. And there was raised the question if someone can plead guilty and say it was because of self-defense, that he killed because of self-defense. And I think in that case, the trial chamber accepted the defendant's guilty plea, And I think most of people were against it. So I just wrote about that.
And what do you think about it, Piri? What do you think about a guilty plea? Or what's the idea of guilty plea? And probably, you know, that sometimes people just sometimes people are innocent, but they use this mechanism because of some problems, issues that happens. I don't know, like in your countries, but in our country that happens, in fact. And but we are talking about war crimes mostly, right? Especially the situation with soldiers. This is the war crime for sure. So, what is your idea about guilty plea?
I think guilty plea is good if you have really an easy case, because many crime case or war cases take many long time, and guilty plea will shorten the time, and you can save resources. But I think one big disadvantage is here that you can close the case too soon, because you don't really investigate it. You just take the guilty plea and say, okay, yeah, we will close the case, and you don't really inquire about it.
And what about the mistakes? You know that sometimes when we take it, sometimes the judges make mistakes, and sometimes the sentence is very soft, right? What do you think about it? About the sentence, about the idea of probably the main idea of punishment, because the punishment sometimes is softer when you use guilty plea, right?
Yeah, I think that's also one of the problem. If you are guilty, then if you plead guilty, then you will have a reduced sentence, but you actually don't regret it, what you have done. And then the other side is if you are not guilty and you have to plead guilty to get actually a reduced sentence. So yeah, it's a paradox, I would say.
Yes. I agree with you. Thank you very much, Piri, and thank you very much for looking through the war crime, because in fact, I'm very interested in international criminal law, and war crimes are of great horror for all of us, for sure. And what do the other things about guilty plea? Probably you have heard something in your countries. Probably there are some discussions, because you know that sometimes, for example, in my practice, I had the situations when some guys told that yes, I'm guilty. Then when they faced trial, they said, oh, I'm not guilty, and I won't use that guilty plea because that was under the stress, that was I was influenced by, for example, the prosecutor, because you know that in this situation, the role of the prosecutors is very high, and they mostly rule this process, and sometimes the rights of such people are broken. And while they are waiting for the trial, they can write whatever. That's why I don't know for sure, but I know that in my practice, I faced such situation when firstly people said that people used guilty plea, and then they canceled it. They said no. What do you think about such situations? How the judge should look at them? Of course, we know that according to his inner ideas, right? according to the laws, for sure, he's in abuse and so on and so far. But still, how we should evaluate such situations? What do you think about it?
Well, I think that is very hard because, for example, we can know the theory, but when it happens, it's other history and other situation, no? For example, in Mexico, I remember that when I was working the last year in a mission of UNICEF in the south of the country, always is in the south of the country because almost all the migrants pass from to the south of the country to go to the USA, no? And we was with the army forces, the army forces of Mexico. There is a big problem with that because now the army is in the streets. The army is carrying the streets, using the campaigns for dicing the people. Everything is in hands of the army now in this moment in Mexico. And the situation is very hard because, for example, it's almost January 19, and until yesterday we have 25 dead people, 25,000 people died in Mexico, not for corona, for work, for the narco traffic and violence. And that's...
sorry for interrupting. Where did you take this information? 25,000 people died from...
Yeah.
Oh,
in the first 18 days of the year, in the organized crime. And well, returning to the example of law and guilty, I remember that we was in a mission of UNICEF, no? And it was very hard. I cried a lot in that situation because the narco traffic murdered 17 children in January of the last year. We find them, we find the guilties, and the narco traffic people killed 3 soldiers. Yeah, we was we was covered. It was a hard situation. It was scary, but we need to be prepared for everything, no? Well, the army wants, and they ask to UNICEF and the Commission of Human Rights in Mexico, what we should do. The army asks that, no, for us. And we take the decision with the human rights and UNICEF, international law, and that thing. And we say, we are going to close the eyes, kill them, kill the bad people, kill the narco traffic. Why? Because if we process to the legal form, they will be out of the jail in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they will be on the streets again. And that's the hard thing because, for example, here the bad people murder, rapes, do a lot of bad things, and the law protect them because the human rights. Because they say, oh no, a soldier fight with me and now I have a scar in my face. Yes, but what about that you kill two children, you rape some women, you steal some cars, you kill a lot of people? Well, you don't think in human rights when you do it. And so they take the decision and they kill 7 bad people in the last year. The army killed them. And we make an agreement between the Human Rights Commission in the south border of Mexico and the UNICEF, because it was a mission of UNICEF, and we don't say anything. We didn't report that. We only report that 17 children was killed, and that's all, no? And that's the problem with the law, because sometimes you want to react as we need, no? Sometimes we want to do the good things, no? In the correct way, no? Like, okay, you are going to the jail and you will finish your years there, no? But no, because actually we are so over corrupt in our institutions that if you have money and you are a bad person, you get like $1,000 and now you are free of the jail. So that's the hard situation, no? Maybe we can know the theory because I was supervising that the human rights of the children and the human rights of the people was respected. It was part of my work. But then they say to me, Leonardo, come here. And I saw the children die. My heart was completely destroyed. It was like I feel very angry. Why? They are kids, no? And then we find the bad people and we need to take a decision. Like, no, they don't respect the human rights. They don't respect the child rights. We are not going to respect the human rights of the bad people because they act without regrets. So we are going to close the eyes and we are going to say that it was a collateral damage. And everyone is protected by the law. When we say that, though, it was part of the collateral damage. Sorry. And that's how it works in Mexico now.
I'm shocked, in fact, shocked, but I understand that this situation, I guess, happens in many countries sometimes. Thank you very much for this information. And I guess that you are going to be the president, right? That you
actually, it's my biggest dream to work in policy in Mexico. I'm very angry with the policy in Mexico, no? Maybe someday, but I need to study more.
Of course, we all have to study to become, to have the better understanding. But I also want to ask you about the death penalty. Do you have the death penalty in your countries? No?
No.
And just like an idea for the situation that Leonardo told us about, what do you think? Whether we need to have the death penalty for such situations, because this organized crime doesn't belong to some people say that it also belongs to international criminal law, because we have transnational crimes, we have organized crimes, and sometimes these organized crimes cover even different continents, especially when we are talking about narco traffic, right? But still, do we need to provide death penalty for such cases like Leonardo told us about?
Yes, obviously.
Probably.
We need to, yeah.
And as you told us, you learned much about the USA history, right? And when we are studying, of course, my students also study the USA history. It's the part, because it is the part of international history. And you know that the country that adopted the Bill of Rights, and the country that has the oldest constitution that provided many rights has the death penalty. And of course, there is a special mechanism, but still, probably sometimes we need this penalty. Of course, we are all talking about human rights, real working penalties, because what can we do with these guilty persons? What can we do with the injured people, with the indicted people? That's why I guess that in these situations probably it is possible. But still, what do you think about it? Do we need? That's very controversial, right? Because the death penalty, many countries say that it's not good. And when the Soviet Union was broken, you know that we had the death penalty, and we had it till 1998, and then we got the moratorium. So we have it in our criminal code, but we don't use it. But still, we are always talking about it because you know that in some parts of our country in the middle of the 90s there were many conflicts, many small war conflicts, regional conflicts in some places of the southern part of our country. They happened. And of course, sometimes the soldiers decided to do to provide the ideas like Leonardo told us. There were many terrorists on that small territories. That was the territory of Chechnya. And sometimes many soldiers of the country were killed there. And many terrorists were also killed. So, of course, that's one of the possible solutions. But what do you think about providing death penalty in the criminal code for war crimes, for example, for organized crimes, for transnational crimes, for example, when it comes to terrorism, when it comes to narco traffic, and so on. Ideas?
Yes, I think that is the best solution. It's one of the best solutions to legalize the death penalty in all the world. Yes, a lot of people say that no, you're killing people. Yes, but always I think that we are not humans when we kill innocent people.
Yeah.
We lose our natural statement, no? We are not humans when we rape, when we murder, when we violate, when we to other people, no? So the law need to treat us as without human rights because we violate the human rights of the other people. But do the Second World War, the First World War, all the war crimes that already happened in the history, the people always, the society always aspired to a good society without crime, without death penalty, and that things, no? But if we read the history of the human lives with violence every day. Each of us, in one time of our lives, was bad with someone. Everyone, no? And when they kill people, they need to be treated like that. The problem in that argument is that there is a lot of innocent people that is judged, and they don't have the guilty. It's like they are innocent and they kill them. No, it happened. It already happened. You know, in the USA history and in all countries. No, that there is a lot of innocent people in the jails. The problem is that we don't think how to prove that which people are innocent and which people are guilty. Maybe that's a big problem, no? It's like, for example, now is arriving the migrant caravan to Mexico borders. My dad works in the army, and he said me, hey, I have info for you, no? To share with the people in the south border. The orders come from very high, and they say to the soldiers that are in the south border of Mexico, fight with the migrants. And why that? Where that order comes from? Obviously from the president of Mexico, and the president of Mexico receives the order from the USA. Because it's like if we allow to the migrant caravan to cross all the country, they will have a lot of complications. No, they have the COVID.
Yeah.
They have the narco traffic. They have the bad people in the center of Mexico. They have the big deserts in the north in the north part of Mexico. No, now in my city is 8 degrees. No, but if you go to the north, it's 40 degrees over the sun. So the orders of the USA is that. Also, the USA has a commission in the south border between Mexico. So they are going to violate a lot of human rights in this week. Now in Guatemala. They are in Guatemala now. They are in Guatemala, reacts by the orders of the Mexican government, and the Mexican government reacts by the orders of the USA government. No? So it's like it's a
That's
very
actually
hard situation.
uh-huh. Okay. And to continue your ideas about defending human rights, you talked about the traffic, and you remind me about the wall, so popular wall between on the border. What do you think about the wall? Does it break the rights of I don't mean only the migrants, the refugees, but also the other people? Why we should build such borders? Of course, we know that in Europe there were some borders when the migrants.
Yeah, in Greece.
Yeah, yes, especially in Greece. I remember this situation. It was awful because my friend told me how it looked like. I was shocked. That was like in ancient times. My friends, we are in the 21st century. Why we are doing that? That's for me impossible. What do you think about this right of people and the legality of such walls?
Well, I think that the walls doesn't work. We saw it with the coronavirus. It's an invisible enemy. He don't care about the walls and the borders, no? And I think that in that, the European Union wants. Because, for example, when I went to Europe, I feel very happy when you are in Germany and then you are in France or Spain and you don't need anything else, no? Only your ID, no? There is no passport control. It's very easy, no? Even if you go to Switzerland, no? I remember when I was living in Lyon, in France, and sometimes I went to Switzerland, no? To Genova. It's Genova, no? Yeah, to Genova, and they don't check my passport, and it was okay, the lake, and I eat some lunch, and then go back to Lyon, no? And here it's impossible. No, it's like, okay, you are going to the USA, visa, and the wall. You have the big wall. It's very shock. It's like 5 meters of height of the wall, and they have 3 walls. They have the first wall, then have a middle one, and then the third one. And it's like, come on, the migrants they are still crossing, no? There is no borders for the people that they want. Even if is that true, no? I think that borders are the very stupid thing, no? It's more easy. Okay, the passport is right, no? The use of passport is right, no? But okay, you can came. You could pass, no? It's no problem. But I think that Occident is always scared about the migrants and the people of Asia, Middle East, African people. I don't know why. It's crazy.
Probably that's all about the resources, I think, and of course, freedom of movement is mostly broken in such situation. And you remember when we are talking about our main basic international law documents, we know about, of course, the freedom, the right for free movement, right? So we can go to any country we want. And when we are going to any country, of course, we have this right, and we just need to follow the legislation of this country. For example, we have to apply for visa, we have to fill the forms, and then that's enough for us. And we do not need anything else because we just follow the rules of the country, and we do not need anything else. But also this happens, I guess, because of the social and economic situation. And here we can talk about social rights and economic rights, because of course they are also defended by international law and by national law, we remember. Probably this situation happens because when many refugees come to the European countries, of course, we also have refugees from the other countries, mostly from Asian countries, you know, and we can't provide all the necessary conditions, good social conditions for such people. You know that there were many, you remember that there were many disputes between Germany and the European Union, right? And Germany tried to provide the idea that all the countries should invite these migrants and provide all the conditions. I'm sorry, but it is impossible in Greece. Absolutely. If someone visited Kos, island Kos, I don't know, probably some of you have visited it, but when my friend showed me the photos, oh my God, that's not the Greece that I like, that I used to visit. And when we are talking about this situation, what do you think about protecting the rights of refugees? Um, in fact, many refugees are not refugees. What is going on? Sometimes terrorists uh, put on the mask of the refugee and try to get a new life, for example, in Europe or in some other country. And it happens very often because you know that we have international organizations that cooperate in connection with each other, such as Interpol, one of them, and our countries take part in this international organization, and they exchange information in order to find these people. And of course, sometimes such people commit crimes, not only sometimes, but very often. I guess 2 years ago, something bad happened in Köln, in Berlin, because of such people. Of course, we cannot say that all migrants are bad or all migrants are good, because it depends on the person. It doesn't depend on anything else. It depends if this person is terrorist or not. And when they committed crimes, when they tried to rape women, when they tried to steal money, when they killed people, of course, that was awful. And one of my visits of Vienna, of the United Nations, you know, I talked with my colleague, and we discussed the situation with refugees in Austria. And when it comes to Austria, he told me that, you know, many years ago, he could put his bag with food, with potatoes and wine and so on. And he knew that his friend will take it and will put the money, and then the other day he will come, and this money will be in the place that he put. But now the situation changed. Everything can be stolen, and there is they cannot rely on people that come. So when the situation changes, of course, they cannot trust. And when you lose the trust, I guess the main social connections can be broken. And what do you think about social rights? When Germany provided some programs, they told the European countries, hey guys, you should provide money for these people. Or hey guys, you should provide some programs. You know that the social part the social part of the allowance is nearly, I guess, nearly 700 or 1,000 euros, right? Am I right? Probably I'm a bit wrong, but I guess 700 or 1,000 euros, right? Or not? The social allowance for migrants or refugees. No, I don't know. Okay. So he told me like this. You know, in our country, my mom, for example, gets the lower pension, and of course I guess that in some other countries people just do not get any money at all. For example, like in Syria, like in Iraq, it is very difficult to get money there legally, I mean, legally. So what do you think about this question from one point of view? The Vienna Convention, the Charter tells us that we need to defend human rights, we need to protect human rights. So European countries try to provide some social guarantees to these people. In comparison with Russia, I can tell you that according to our legislation, these social guarantees are quite lower than in Europe. Probably that's because of the course of dollar, of euro, of the ruble, because of the economics probably, but it was always Europe provided much more social guarantees. And you know that after the breaking of the Soviet Union, many people from the Soviet Union removed to the European countries, to other countries, because of the social guarantees. But today the situation changed. Today we see the situation of world migration. This migration is very huge, of course, and I don't know when it finishes, because the scale of this migration is growing bigger and bigger. So, is Europe ready to provide all the social guarantees according to the Charter, according to the Vienna Convention, according to the other international law documents? Is it possible? Just let's think about it, just discuss, because I guess there is no one point of view, there is no one solution. But that's the problem that you will have to solve, you young lawyers, future lawyers. I always tell my students, you will solve all our problems. Please inform me about it. Please don't forget about me when you will solve all our legislation problems. Because I guess from time to time, the Europeans will lose their identity, and then they will lose. They won't have enough money for all the people that come from everywhere. It is impossible because they are like a balloon. They go like a balloon, and it can poof. And what will we do? What we all do? We are living on the European part of our land. So what we all can do in this situation? What do you think about it? Ideas?
I think it's really difficult. So I think it's really important that you give money to them because they have to survive somehow. But I can say in Switzerland, it looks like they get a lot of money, because maybe Yasmin can agree. If you say immigrant, if you see any immigrants at the stations, they have a lot of free time, and you see that they buy a lot of brand clothes and the newest iPhone, and you are just walking like a normal dress and normal phones, even iPhone 6, not even 11 or 12. Then you just think as a taxpayer how much money the government invests because of the human rights, and also because they are afraid that maybe Germany or any other states will say, yeah, you don't look good after them. And I'm just asking myself, if many immigrants are coming, what happens with economic system? Because we don't have, Switzerland is also very small, and we don't have enough place. And I'm asking myself if the immigrants are going to classes, or are they socializing themselves, because I just see them as a group of their own and standing somewhere talking in their language. So it's difficult to say if you can help them or not. It's just like they just escaped from their land, from their country, and come here, and they are just like, oh, I'm safe here, I don't have to do anything.
Oh yes, you touched an interesting topic about socialization. That's very important, and it's very important not only just to give money, but to socialize. Of course, I'm a bit shocked about the help of the government. That it's easy to buy iPhone for some refugee. I don't know how it can happen. In fact, absolutely, I don't know. Probably because, of course, of the help. But still, socialization programs are of high importance. I agree with you absolutely, because other way they will they will stay in their own groups. They won't socialize, and it can lead to criminalization of these groups, because we know that what criminology tells us, so that these elements have a specific culture that is just inside the group. When they use only their own language, I'm fine absolutely with anyone, and I like different languages, but if you are on the territory of the other country, and if you are living there, of course you have to learn the language, and even to lose the language of international communication, English, right? You can talk speak your native language at home, probably, right, with your family, with your colleagues, but not in the public place. That's just for me. But we have the same situation here in Russia. It happens much because we also have many refugees, and that come to us from Asian countries, and of course they speak only their language, and sometimes they do not know. And you know that in some parts of our country, we have some parts that are not well socialized. For example, especially on the south, that people live highly. Sometimes they speak their native language only. We have the language of the natives and the language of the country. Russian is the language of the country. Like in America, Native Americans have their own language, like in other countries, and so on. But still, we have the state language, it is Russian, and we have the language of the parts of Russia. And but please, when we are talking at the public, of course, we should use our state language. Okay, thank you very much. Probably other participants have any ideas? Probably you have some points. Yes, Yasmin.
I just know that the immigrants here in Switzerland, they got $10 per day to buy them food, and every other things like things for washing the clothes and so on, that's the government who pays it. And sometimes it's hard because some immigrants want to work and want to help or just be like we are here in Switzerland, and others, they are not thankful at all and they just want to chill and make nothing. And it's really hard to make a difference between the two types of immigrants.
Yes, I absolutely agree. So we face this challenge. People are not the same. So we should understand the difference between, we do not have to say that all immigrants are bad. That's absolutely wrong position. We don't have the right to tell like this, because everything depends on the person. That's like with, for example, that seems sometimes like nations, because they told, oh, one nation is good, the others are bad. And it happens sometimes even now because of the ideology. And we cannot say in the same the similar way with some clusters of people. So if they're immigrants, they're bad. No, bad people from this group are bad. If they commit crimes, if they just waste money, waste time, waste the government's support, and so on. Okay, thank you very much, girls, for such an interesting discussion. Probably now we will give the floor to Sabuhi. Do you want to probably provide any ideas or article if you have done it?
Yes, teacher. I have a question. Do you
Yes.
have an organization that protects human rights in respected the Russian Federation?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, we have a perfect question according to our topic. Yes, we have, it is called ombudsman. I guess like in many countries, it is the human rights defender. We have different types of human rights defending. If we are talking on the national level, but in your countries the situation is mostly the same, because we took this model from Europe, and the Institute of Ombudsman comes from Europe, as far as you know. So ombudsman or human rights defender, we have it on the state level and on the level of the parts of our country. In every state, in every subject of our country, we also have an ombudsman, or we can call it human rights defender. So we have different types of human rights defenders according to the spheres of defending. We have a human rights defender for children, and she's very popular. She's the mother of 6 children, 6 children. So she knows how to defend children's rights. Before her, we had the man, human rights defender. He was a good lawyer, and he tried to defend the rights of children, but today's defender is much more better, I guess. We have the rights for the human rights defender of entrepreneurs. Of course, we have the rights defender for business sphere, and for some other spheres. I don't remember all the spheres, but the most important spheres have them. For example, in our region, in Samara region, we have the human rights defender for entrepreneurs. And for children, and by the way, for students, I forgot to tell you the main thing. We have the human rights defender on the national level for students and on the regional level. In fact, I have never seen him. But I looked through our legislation, and I provided the course Defending Human Rights in our university, and I was preparing for my lecture and looked through our legislation, and I found him. I've never heard about his work, but I looked through it and found him. It's really interesting. I guess every country has such institute of the ombudsman. Do you know about your practice in your countries? I guess all of our countries have this institute. Sabuhi, do you have the human rights defender in your country?
I don't know.
Ah, okay. Like me, I didn't know about the student human rights defender, but we have him. Wow. Not all of them get the salary. Probably sometimes we do not know about their work at all, because most of people work only when they get money. But the idea is to work according to your inspiration. That's very important for sure, especially when you defend human rights, because if you do it just for money, you won't do it in a proper way. You won't do it really good. For example, I know when you defend the person in trial, it's real hard work, and money is not all enough when you prepare for the trial, when you prepare your speech, when you prepare the documents. That's really hard. I guess who has practice in courts and who is going to practice in courts will understand that it's a really hard work, even emotionally, not professionally, but sometimes emotionally. And when you and by the way, the human rights defender of our region, Samara region, also provides lectures to our students. Not long ago, in connection with her, we provided a seminar to our students because she is, I guess, 65, and she is so active and she came to the students, and she provided a lecture, I guess, for 2 hours, and she was not tired, absolutely. So she's a real defender, and she works at our university just for some courses, for some lections, not for the whole courses, because she's very busy. Because the work of the human rights defender is very complicated. Okay, so probably what about your practice of your countries, the others? Do you have the human rights defender in your countries? Who knows?
Yes,
Yes, you have. Okay.
actually, we have a lot. We have defenders of the environment. We have human rights defenders, and also the students do activisms. For example, in a university, we create a commission of activism of human rights. We protest in the streets. I was on jail like 3 hours or 4 hours for my activism because we take the streets, we fight with the police because we order to the government to protect the students. I don't know if that case in Mexico was published around the world. I don't know if have you ever heard about the 43 students of Ayotzinapa? The state killed that students. It was the government that killed the students. So every university, public university and private university in Mexico, take the streets and fight with the government. And a lot of students was on jail. I was on jail too, 4 hours, nothing too much. And the recently activism that we do, it was in March of the last year to protect the women rights, because our state, my region, my oblast is Puebla, and we have a lot of violence to the women. So our goal was to declare the state dangerous for women. And if the state declared that, the police enforce the law to protect the women, but the state doesn't want to do it. So we take the streets again, we fight with the police again, and we get it. Now the women is protected in our state, thanks to the students that take the streets. Well,
sorry for interrupting.
That the first activism was in 2018. No, 2014. It was in 2014 when I entered to the university. It was on my first semester. The last activism that I support, it was the last year in March, because March is the month of the women in Mexico. I think that in all the world too.
8th of March.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's in March, yeah. And also we take the streets to legalize the abortion, to protect the women in the abortion. We take the streets too in March of the last year too. So it was to March, and we destroy some things of the city and that stuff. No?
Oh, you shocked me. I couldn't imagine that you take part in such activities. But I have a question. We have touched the other right, social right, of equal rights of men and women. Are the rights of women so much broken in your country that you have to fight for them? As far as I remember, you have even women in the government, as far as I remember.
Mm-mm.
No?
No. We don't have actually too much women in the government. It's like only 35% or 30% since 2018. Before that, only 10% of women in the government. The most crazy thing is that we have more women in our country than men now. For example, in my degree, there was 29 women and 4 men in the degree of international relations. And that's the reason that you adopt the argument, you adopt the cause, because now you understand a lot of things that maybe you don't understand in the past. And now always we are trying to get more people to support the women rights, to support the student rights, because this is the obligation of the state to give us that rights. So we protest, we fight, we take the streets, make some violence and that stuff, no?
I see. Okay, thank you. So the right of the idea of equal rights, right? We are talking about. Okay, thank you very much. That's very interesting and that's very important. And we see that it happens every day. In fact, I do not remember when was the last activity on defending women's rights. I don't know how it is in Europe, but here we do not have such demonstrations or something like that. Yes, you know that we celebrate the 8th of March, Women's Day. Okay, that's all right. And we get our flowers and feel happy. And that's enough, in fact. But you know that in our government there are many, enough women. And the head of the parliament of the High Chamber, Soviet of Federation, Chamber of Federation. We have the State Duma and Soviet Federation, and the head is the woman. And you know that the vice prime minister of our country is the woman as well. Of course, we had never women as the president, but we had queens in our history, like other European countries had queens. But I guess everything is up to the history for sure. And we are all building our state according to our history, according to our traditions, customs, because as we discussed in our first meeting, custom is the first source of international law, and we built our international law system from our customs. Okay, thank you very much. Any other articles, guys? What about you, girls? Thank you very much. You were perfect. No, I think that Leonard talked much today. So, do you want to add something? Probably, or you have told about everything that you wanted today. Dear, you do want to add something, or you do you hear me well? Something happened, I guess. Sabuhi, did you tell us about everything that you wanted?
I want to know about soft law.
Soft law?
Shortly.
Shortly, okay. We are talking about soft law when we do not have some legal regulation like laws, and when we need, and we provide some have the proper legislation, and it can be so and so it is not legislation in the sense of legislation. The problems are solved with the help of communications. That's an interesting part, because we are talking about soft law in the sphere of international economic law sometimes, but not in all spheres. But in some spheres, for example, that regulate artificial intelligence, because we do not have international regulation, the regulation provided by the International Communication Union, for example, but the ideas that provide and the acts that were provided by the International Communication Union are not enough, but still they provide laws. And when we do not have enough regulation, we use this soft law. So just we can call them some acts, but they are not laws. In fact, it means that it can be changed. The ways of solving the typical problems can be changed. Everything depends on the situation, on the economic situation. That's why we need to provide laws to regulate the spheres. Of course, it's impossible to regulate everything, we know it. And we want to live our lives if everything will be absolutely regulated. It's impossible for sure. But we have some spheres that should be regulated, especially when it comes to economics, when it comes to security, when it comes to some other spheres that are very important for us. Okay, thank you very much. Probably any other ideas, any other ideas for discussion? Aren't you tired today? I hope that I didn't make you tired, my dear friends, because I wanted to discuss with you the main problems, and probably you got some ideas. And probably, for example, Yasmin will continue with your master degree, and then you will have an idea to obtain your PhD degree here. That will be a great idea because I really liked the articles of the girls. Thank you for sending me. And probably Pyria would like to become the master degree lawyer in international law, because of course I see that you have the fundamental basis. They're not, you just have to come and to study. But international law, because you know that from my point of view, international law has provides the better basis than international relations. I know that you study international relations, but it differs in fact much. And if it was up to me and I decided what I would like to study in my time, of course, I choose international law, not relations, because the program differs so much. It's like earth and sky. Winter and summer. That's why probably you say, oh, international and international. No, that's not enough. So, Sabuhi, you have to study international law with us. I probably you will be interested in master degree program or PhD degree.
Yes, teacher. As you mentioned that international law is based on history.
Of course, yes.
History.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I absolutely agree with you. International law is based on history, and that's why we need to look through our history and through the history of the countries that we know, because of course we all our laws are based on the previous laws. We know, we talked today about the Constitution of the USA, one, I guess it is the oldest constitution. We talked about the Bill of Rights, but you know, do you remember where they have stolen the Bill of Rights? Do you remember? Who knows?
With the statement of Richelieu.
From which country?
France.
Yes, absolutely. They stolen it from France. So everything in history is connected, because in France they got the Declaration of Human Rights, and then this declaration was, we can say stolen, but still. We can see that it seems sometimes like a copy, right? And it happened. And in England, there was also the Bill of Rights, if you remember. That's why history is very important for us. And if we look through the medievals, we will find Magna Carta, right? Magna Carta Libertatum. So we know all these laws and they can be discussed for hours. But today I want to thank you for your activity, and it was so wonderful and I really enjoyed it. And of course, from all my heart, I thank you for this discussion. It was really perfect. And I hope that we will stay in connection with each other, and I will still send you some ideas, because I like good students very much and I cannot let them go. That's my problem. And probably we will stay in touch, but I do not still say goodbye, because we will see each other. And of course, I will ask you for articles. Of course, I love my students, but the homework. I check all the homeworks. So I wish you a good evening, a good day for Leonardo. And if you have
Thank you.
questions, I'm always ready to answer. You can type them in our chat. If I don't answer, I'm really sorry, because I'm always somewhere with somebody and just have no time just to type something. But still, I am always with you, just mentally, telepathically. So we can talk. You can write to me whenever you want. Okay. So
I have a little question.
yeah.
Can I send my article today?
Sure.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, because in the weekend I forget it. I don't know why I forget it. Okay.
No
So it's no
worries.
problem.
No problem. Of course.
How much pages we need to write?
5, 7 pages. I guess no more.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
So
you very much.
you're welcome. Sabuhi, you also, we are waiting for your article. So we need the article of our guys. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Have a good time. I wish you good luck. Bye-bye.
Пока.
Thank you.
Спокойной
Bye.
ночи.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.